Hungarian Folk Tales. Starving Matthias. Once upon a time, very far away, there lived a very poor man. He was as poor as could be and had nothing to his name. His name was Starving Matthias, for he had nothing to eat. One day Matthias made up his mind to go into the forest and hang himself. He looked hard at all the trees to see which one would be best for the job. And as he was busy doing this, the devil appeared before him and asked, "What are you looking for, Matthias?" "I'm looking for incense to smoke you out of hell." This frightened the devil so much that he promised to give Matthias anything he wanted. "Then give me 200 pounds of gold." And so the devil gave him what he wanted. Matthias returned home very contented. The devil also went home and told the other devils what had happened. The other devils told him that 200 pounds of gold was far too much and thought how best to get it back. Then one of the devils had a very simple idea. "I shall simply go and ask him to give it back." So the devil went to him and said, "200 pounds of gold is really far too much, so I suggest the strongest between us should take it as a prize. I challenge you to a fight." "I won't fight you, devil. I'll simply throw you to the ground so that you'll never get up again. But my grandfather is 188 years old and lives deep in the forest. You should go and fight him instead." So the devil and Matthias went to the forest, where Matthias told the devil to enter a cave. So the devil went in, and what do you think he found? A bear. But the devil didn't know it was a bear. The bear was lying on the ground, and so the devil woke it up. The bear was far stronger, but the devil managed to slip from the bear's grip and hurry away home again. Then the devils gathered for a second time to discuss how best to get the 200 pounds of gold back from Starving Matthias. Next, the fastest devil went to see Matthias. "Matthias, the 200 pounds of gold is far too much, so let's see which one of us can run faster, and he shall have the gold. I won't compete against you, because if I start running, I'll be so fast that I'll knock down the walls of hell. But I have a son called John who will run fast against you. Come with me to the forest, because that is where John takes his midday nap." Matthias knew exactly in which bush the rabbit hid. "Wake up, John, wake up and take a race against the devil." The rabbit heard this, jumped to its feet and began to run as fast as the wind. The devil gave chase. But by the time the devil reached the forest, there was no sign of the rabbit. Who would have thought that your son could have run so fast? And with that, the devil walked back to hell. The devils gathered again to discuss the matter, and then the strongest of them said, "This time I shall go and bring back the gold." So he went to see Matthias and said to him, 200 pounds of gold is far too much. The one to win the gold will be the one of us who can carry the horse 6 times around the yard and rest no more than 3 times in total." This challenge worried poor Matthias, because he knew the horse was far too heavy for him. Then he had a thought and said to the devil, "You do it first, and then I will follow you." So the devil lifted the horse and carried it around the yard 6 times, but by the time he was done, the devil was absolutely exhausted. Then Matthias said to the devil, "The way you lifted the horse and carried it around was really no great deed, and you even stopped to rest. Now I shall take the horse between my legs and take it 9 times around the yard without stopping, even once." When Matthias dismounted, he spoke to the devil and said, "You see, I am much stronger than you are. Although I took the horse between my legs, I had no need to take a rest." Defeated, this devil went home again. Once back, the devils discussed how they would regain the gold. At last a devil stepped forth saying that he would bring back the gold. So off he went to see Matthias. 200 pounds of gold is far too much, so the one of us who can scare the other more shall have the gold. We'll have you drink hot ink today." "I'll drink it." "What if we harness you to a yoke and have you plough smouldering embers in hell?" "I'll do it if I must." "What if we put you in a steel pot and pour boiling lead on you?" I'll bear it if I must. Now I'll scare you. The devil realised that the man was much braver, and so he rushed back to hell and told the others, "Beware of starving Matthias. Let him have the 200 pounds of gold rather than perish, because that Matthias is a bigger devil than all of us put together." But when he died, he was not let into heaven. Off you go to hell. That's where you belong. You were good friends with the devils down there. So off Matthias went to hell, but the devils would not let him in either. Then poor Matthias sat down outside heaven's door and sits there to this day. If you go to heaven, you are sure to see him still. Hungarian Folk Tales. The Soldier's Luck. Once upon a time, there lived a soldier. The soldier was returning home on leave from the army and passing through the forest when an old witch appeared and blocked his path. "Would you like to have wealth and riches, young man?" "Of course, for I do not have a penny to my name." "Then listen to me. You must go to the hollow tree and summon up all the money you desire. But you can only make money magically appear if you grant me one wish." "Just tell me what you wish, old lady." "There are 3 barrels of coins down there, but each is guarded by a fearsome hound. I shall give you an apron, and once you get down there, you must spread it on the ground and place the dogs on it. When you have collected all the money you want, you will look for a box on the table and you must bring that box to me. Now I shall tie this rope around your waist and lower you down, and when your task is complete, I shall pull you back again." The soldier looked at the coins in the first barrel, but they were all copper. "I don't want these," he said, set the dog back on the pile and carried on. The second barrel contained silver coins. He said, "I don't want these either." The third barrel was filled with gold coins, so he placed the dog on the apron and filled all his pockets with gold. Then he picked up the magic box from the table and called to the old witch to hoist him back up. "So tell me, witch, why do you want this little box?" But the old witch could not tell him, so he slit her throat with his silver sword. Then the soldier went on his way. Soon he reached a town where he bought himself good food and new clothes. Then he hired a coach and rode through the town. And as he rode, he showered the townspeople with money. He gave money willingly because he knew what it was to be poor. Then he rented a room at the local inn where he made merry every night. But the day eventually came when he ran out of money and had neither bread nor candles. Then he recalled that the little box from inside the hollow tree had a candle in it. The soldier lit the candle and the first fearsome dog appeared. "What is your wish, master?" "I've run out of money. I have neither bread nor anything else." Then the dog hurried off and soon returned with a bag brimming full of money for its master. The young soldier soon received news that there was a young princess living in the town, but that no one was allowed to visit her in person. The soldier soon set his heart on seeing her. So he lit the candle, and the dog appeared. "What is your wish, master?" "I hear there is a princess whom no one is allowed to see." "How could I possibly see what she's like?" "She's said to be very beautiful indeed." Then the dog went off without saying a word and soon returned with the princess. The royal maid went to the princess's room in the palace and discovered that she was gone. As soon as she realised, she began to scream. Everybody asked, Where can she have gone? Where can she have gone? The king said, if she comes back, a maid should sit by the side of her bed and watch over her at night and see which way she goes should she leave. So when the princess was back in her room, a maid sat by the side of her bed. The next night, when the dog took her away, the maid ran after them but failed to note the number of the house and so didn't know where the dog had taken her. I know what to do, the king said. So he filled a bag with flour, cut the corner off the bag and tied it to the princess's waist. So wherever the dog took her, the flour trail betrayed them. The next day, soldiers followed the flour trail and it led them directly to the young soldier. The king was furious and sentenced the young soldier to death for what he had done. All the people of the town gathered to see the execution. Then a young boy happened to pass right in front of the soldier's prison cell window, and the soldier said to him, "Where are you going, young lad?" "I'm going to see the execution of some soldier." "Go no further. I'm that soldier. Go back quickly." He told the lad where exactly. "And bring me the box you'll find on the table." The young boy went off, brought the box, and passed it to him. So when he was led to the gallows, the soldier told the hangman that he had one last wish. The king allowed the soldier to smoke a pipe. Then the soldier lit the candle in the box 3 times and all 3 dogs appeared. "What is your wish, master?" "What's my wish? Can you not see I am about to be hanged?" So then the 3 dogs set upon the crowd, but they were careful not to harm the pretty princess. Then the soldier married the princess, and they both lived happily ever after. Hungarian Folk Tales. Peter and Paul. Once upon a time, there was a poor man. He was as poor as a church mouse. Children, he had many though, but apart from them, he had nothing but a single cockerel. Next door to him there lived a rich man. He was so rich that he had absolutely no idea of all that he had. His yard was full of hens, cockerels and fine farm animals. It happened one day that poor man Peter's cockerel went over to rich man Paul's yard. The cockerel went over to the hens because he was so bored all alone in Peter's yard. The rich man, greedy Paul, saw this and he said to the poor man, "Listen here, Peter. Do something with this cockerel. Either kill it or sell it. But get it out of my yard, otherwise I'll batter it and it'll be of no use to you anymore. I don't want it to come over to my yard." Poor man Peter was desperate. What should he do? He thought hard. He'd kill it and cook it for his children, but his children had never eaten meat in their lives before, and they would get used to the taste of meat and want it at every meal. Oh well, he thought, I'll take it to my master and give it to him as a gift. Maybe he will give me something in return. So he did just this. And his master said to him, "Hey, Peter, you're a poor man with many children. Wouldn't you have been better off cooking this cockerel for your children at home?" "No, sir," said Peter. "Because we're so many at home, there are so many children that one cockerel would never satisfy them all. They'd each just have one bite, and once they had tasted the meat, they'd realise it was better than boiled potatoes or simple soup, and they'd never want to eat those things anymore. They'd always want to eat meat." "All right, Peter. We'll roast this cockerel for dinner today, but I want you to be here to serve it to us." The master had 2 sons, 2 daughters and a wife, so they were 6. Peter went to their house at midday when dinner was going to be served. There was the roast cockerel on the table. Peter thought hard and began to carve. He reasoned thus: the master and the lady of the house are the head of the family, so I'll cut the head and the neck off for them. I'll give the 2 wings to the 2 young ladies so they can fly off with more ease when it comes to marrying. The young masters will get the 2 feet so they can run better. And I, poor devil, will make do with what is left. This way he himself had the bulk of the cockerel. The master rewarded Peter for his wisdom. He gave him a horse, a cart, a plough, and everything to go with it, as well as some land to farm as his own. He told him to run his own farm and grow rich on it. Rich man Paul got word of this. He was ever so envious. If his neighbour had been given so many things for 1 single cockerel, how much would the master give him for 5 cockerels, he wondered. Rich man Paul finally made up his mind to take his 5 cockerels to the master. He was so envious. He gave them all as a gift. The master said to rich man Paul, "Listen here, Paul, we'll roast these 5 cockerels for dinner today. I want you to serve us at table. If you fail to divide the roast justly, I'll have you whipped 50 lashes. But if you manage to divide it well, I'll reward you richly." The 5 cockerels were roasted and none was cut up. They were all in one piece. Rich man Paul went to the master's house, but he couldn't divide the meat justly in any way. Then the master said to his servant, "Go and fetch Peter." So Peter came. "Well, Peter, you'll have to divide these 5 cockerels among us." Peter thought hard. "Well," he said, "I've always believed in the Holy Trinity. This time I'll be guided by it too. I reckon the master and the lady of the house and a cockerel will make a trinity." "By the same token," he said, "the 2 young ladies and a cockerel will make a trinity. The 2 young masters and a cockerel also. So I, poor devil, and 2 cockerels will also make a trinity." This cheeky but shrewd way of dividing the roast made the master and his entire family laugh. The master richly rewarded Peter again and had the rich man Paul whipped as he had pledged. Paul was given 50 lashes and told never to return to the palace again. Hungarian Folk Tales. Angel Lambs. Once there lived a very poor man on the edge of the forest in his little hut with his wife and 3 sons. He earned his bread by cutting wood. Poor they were, and their life was hard. One day the man was working in the forest and had become very tired. He took out his satchel to eat the scone his wife had baked him in the ashes of the fire. While he was chewing away on his food, there came an old man. "What are you doing here, poor man?" "Just cutting some wood." "What's that you're eating?" "Nothing special, just a scone baked in the ashes. Won't you have a little for yourself?" "Listen, my man, have you a family?" 3 sons, but they're still small. "I need someone to serve me. I have a flock of sheep and it needs to be watched over. Give me your eldest son into service. 3 days he will work and 100 florins he will earn." Now the poor man went home very pleased and said to his son, "Listen, my boy, tomorrow you'll come with me to the forest and there you'll meet an old man who will take you into service." In the morning, his mother packed his satchel and off he went with his father to the forest. Hardly had they arrived when the old man came. He took the boy by the hand and led him away with him. Now they went deep into the forest until night fell. Then they came to a hut. "Now, son, here we are." Daylight came, the boy went out, and there he saw the fine flock of sheep. "This is the flock you are to watch over. Here's a staff for you to follow my lambkins. Here's a satchel for you so that you can bring back in it to me some of what they eat, and in it there's a flask for you to fill with whatever they drink from." So the lambs set off and made their way into the forest. The further they went in, the darker it became. Then they found a wide river before them, and there was only a narrow plank to cross the river. The sheep set off, but their weight was such as to bend the plank until their bellies were in the water itself. Now this worried the lad. "I'll never be able to cross on that plank, it'll collapse under me." The last of the lambs came to rub against his leg. "Just climb onto my back, and I'll take you across." But the boy struck its back roughly with the staff, lay on his stomach, in the grass, and waited. Some time later, he heard the sound of their bells as they came back. The last of them came to him and rubbed against his leg. "Follow us." Then his master's request came to his mind. He gathered together a handful of grass for the satchel, put some water into the flask, and followed the flock home. When they arrived, the old man was waiting for them in his yard. "So, my boy, I see you've brought my lambkins home. Are they still all here?" "Yes, master." "Did you bring what they ate?" "Yes, master." "Did you bring what they drank?" "That too, master." "Let me have a look." "No, my boy, that's not what they ate, that's not what they drank, for these lambs of mine cannot live on this. You didn't do your proper service. Tomorrow I'll take your next brother." But his younger brother didn't fare any better, for he did exactly the same with the old man's flock. At home, the poor man spoke to the youngest of his sons. "Son, it's your turn. Tomorrow you'll come with me to the forest." The next day, the old man was waiting for them. He took the boy by the hand and led him into the forest until it got dark. "Here, my boy, is where you will sleep." In the morning, the old man came to knock on the door. The boy hung the satchel around his neck and sat off after the sheep. The sheep walked and walked along the edge of the forest. Once they went into the forest, everything got dark. In the middle of the forest, it was so dark that the youngest boy was gripped by fear. All the more when they came to the river. "Oh, what will become of me if I cross the river as well?" One of the lambs came to rub against the boy's leg. "Child, sit on my back." So the boy sat on its back, and that's how they crossed the river. Once they were across, they went further and further into the dark until suddenly there was a great brightness in front of them. The boy had to rub his eyes, for there in the middle of the brightness was a chapel. The sheep quickly filed in. Once he was in, he saw the sheep shake themselves twice in front of the altar and change into angels. From a beautiful chalice, they served themselves each bread and a little wine. Then they shook themselves once again and turned back into sheep. The last of them to turn into an angel had taken the boy's satchel, then took bread, poured some wine into his flask, and put both into his satchel before setting off with the others towards home. When they reached the river, the boy got onto the sheep's back again, crossed over the plank, and set off home tranquilly. The old man was waiting for them in the yard. "Now, child, are all the sheep here?" "All here, master." "Have they eaten?" "They have, master." "Have they drunk?" "They have, master." "Well then, show me your satchel and your flask. My child, I can see that you have served me faithfully, and so I grant you a wish as well as the 100 florins you have earned." And that was when the boy knew that the old man was the Lord himself, and the lambs his angels. So what he said was this: "Master, I would like to serve you always. My only wish is to be allowed to go home once to my parents to bid them farewell." And that is what happened. Home he went, bade goodbye to his father, his mother, and his 2 brothers, handed over to them his wages, and returned to the old man, whom he still serves to this very day. Hungarian Folk Tales. Cerceruszka. Once upon a time, there lived a widower who had 2 daughters. His next-door neighbour was a widow who never stopped recommending herself to the man. "Hey, neighbour, take me for your wife. You won't regret it. I will bring up your 2 daughters, and I'll be like a real mother to them." One day, the poor man finally gave in and married the widow next door. But it did not take long for the woman to start treating the girls badly. She tried everything to get them away from the house. She nagged her husband, "Take them both to the forest and just leave them there. Let them perish." That was something horrible for the father's ears, but still, he did as the woman wanted him to. Cerceruszka, that was the name of the elder girl, heard what her father and stepmother were about to do. So she filled her pockets with grain, so she would leave a trail behind. Early next morning, the father took out his 2 daughters. Cerceruszka just kept spilling the grain from her pockets all along the way. When they were deep in the middle of the forest, their father told them, "Well, my girls, I think it's about time to take a rest, because we are all very tired." And the girls went to sleep. When the girls woke up, they started calling their father, but he was already far, far away. "Don't you worry, little sister. We will trace our way back along the grain that I spilled as we came this way." But they couldn't find the grain because the birds had pecked it all up, and the girls just couldn't find their way home. On top of all of that, their stepmother had cursed them before they left. "If you drink from the track of an animal, you are going to change into that animal." As they were walking in the endless forest, the younger girl became thirsty. She spotted the footprint of a cow that was full of clean water. "Sister, oh dear sister, I'm so thirsty, I have to drink." "Don't drink, sister, because you will turn into an animal." A little later, the little girl got left behind and she drank from the footprint of a deer. When Cerceruszka looked back, she saw the little deer running after her. Cerceruszka kept on going forward with the deer following her until she finally found a hollow tree. There she gathered up some dry leaves and made a comfortable bed. One day a young prince was hunting in the forest and he spotted the beautiful Cerceruszka. The prince called after them, "Come on out, you beautiful girl." "I cannot, because I have a dear sister and you want to kill her." "Come on out with the deer. I won't touch her." So Cerceruszka finally came out, and she was so beautiful that the prince was lost for words. When he found his voice again, he immediately asked her to marry him. "Let's get married. I'll be yours and you'll be mine, and we'll live happily forever and a day." He kissed her and embraced her. Then they both got on his horse, and the prince married the girl. Time passed by. The king was on a hunt one day when Cerceruszka gave birth to a son. His name was Little King Andriku. Before I forget what I was going to say, I wanted to tell you that there lived a mean cook in the court who had an ugly daughter. She had always dreamt that her own daughter would be the queen one day, so it was no surprise that she hated Cerceruszka. "Your Majesty, you are so beautiful. There is a pond in the garden. You should go and take a look at yourself." When they walked around the water, the cook suddenly shoved her into the pond. When this was done, the cookwoman quickly changed her own daughter's dress and made her lay down in Cerceruszka's bed. Soon the king returned from the hunt. The evil cook told him the good news. "You have a son. His name is Little King Andriku. Just take a look, Your Majesty." The king was very happy and he kissed the baby boy. He was about to kiss his wife, but he was horrified at what he saw. "Oh my goodness, what became of my wife? How could she become as ugly as this?" "It was childbirth that did it to her," explained the cook. The king was sad, but since there was nothing he could do, he finally accepted the change. Each night, Cerceruszka came back and visited the deer in her room. She kept asking, "Is little King Andriku crying?" Of course he is, dear sister. Barren women have no milk. One day the cook's daughter heard this. She was determined to get rid of the deer before it caused her downfall. So she said to the king, "Darling husband, I'm feeling very weak. I will feel no better until I can eat the heart and liver of this little deer." The deer must be killed. As they were sharpening the knife and washing the bowl for her blood, the deer ran out to the pond and called out, "My darling Teterushka, get up from the depths, from the stomach of the big fish, because they want to cut my throat with a knife. They want to catch my blood in a bowl. They want to kill me too." Then Teterushka stepped out of the pond, walked up to the deer, and stroked her gently. She was even more beautiful than before. The king heard and saw everything because he was secretly following the deer. He embraced and kissed Teterushka, who told him everything. The king immediately went to see the cook. He said to the cook, "What would you do to the person who would not hesitate to destroy my wife?" "What? I would have the person tied to a horse's tail and have him dragged through the town." And the old woman and her daughter were treated exactly as the old hag had predicted. The king took Teterushka and the little deer back to the palace, and they all lived happily ever after.